A senior Iranian border security commander has mocked what he called delusional US invasion plans, arguing that any attempt by President Trump to launch a ground assault on Iran would face overwhelming resistance from Iranian forces and local communities. Iranian officials claim the country's borders are completely secure and impenetrable, pointing to border guards, physical barriers, surveillance systems, and the support of residents in frontier areas as key elements of Tehran's defensive posture. The commander advised Washington against any ground invasion, warning that an attempted incursion would be doomed to fail because Iran's terrain, defensive preparations, missile forces, and security apparatus would make a prolonged operation extremely costly. Claims that earlier US invasion efforts were thwarted by America's own allies appear to be Iranian political rhetoric rather than evidence of an actual US ground invasion, though Tehran has long argued that hostile plans against it have been frustrated by regional realities. Iranian officials say cooperation with neighboring Pakistan and Afghanistan has helped strengthen border security, especially against infiltration, smuggling, and militant activity, while Tehran continues expanding walls and fortified defenses along its eastern frontier. Iran's border chief claimed that any ground attack against Iran would be a delusional idea, arguing that an invasion force would face a heavily defended country with difficult terrain, substantial manpower, and layered military capabilities. Aliakbar Javidan said Iran's borders remained secure and that its armed forces were intact, insisting that the country's military preparedness had not been fundamentally weakened by the recent conflict. Javidan also claimed that enemy movements could never undermine Iran's authority or national security, portraying Tehran's border defense posture as resilient despite continued external pressure and regional instability. The official said the deaths of senior commanders had not disrupted military operations, arguing that replacement commanders were already in position and that Iran's command structure continued to function without interruption. Several high-ranking Iranian military officers were reportedly killed during the war, creating a major leadership challenge for Tehran even as it sought to demonstrate continuity and operational control. Those reportedly killed included Major General Pakpour, Major General Mousavi, and Brigadier Soleimani, although Iranian officials have emphasized that succession arrangements were activated quickly after the losses. Javidan said residents in Kurdistan, Sistan Baluchestan, and Khuzestan were helping to secure Iran's frontier regions, presenting local communities as a vital part of Tehran's effort to deter infiltration and armed activity. Iran maintains one of the largest standing armed forces in the Middle East, divided primarily between the regular Artesh military and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, with additional Basij and other paramilitary formations. Iran is estimated to have around 610,000 active duty military personnel, according to widely cited force structure estimates, although exact totals vary depending on whether security and paramilitary units are included. In addition, Iran is believed to have roughly 350,000 reservists, including trained veterans and other personnel who could be mobilized during a national emergency or prolonged major conflict. Apart from Iran's warnings, U.S. Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Caine has also cautioned against the risks of a full-scale invasion, highlighting the immense scale, logistical burden, and potential costs of any ground operation against Iran. On August 8, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said armed groups had tried to enter Iran during the 40-day conflict. According to Pezeshkian, these infiltration attempts were aimed at Iranian border posts across the northwest and southeast, apparently seeking to open new internal pressure points while Iran faced war outside its borders. Pezeshkian said Pakistan and Afghanistan deployed forces along their frontiers, helping prevent armed groups from using neighboring territory as a launchpad for attacks inside Iran. Both neighbors, he said, made clear that their soil could not be used to fuel instability in Iran, a message that gave Tehran a vital layer of border security during the conflict. On diplomacy, Pezeshkian called the United States untrustworthy, reflecting Tehran's continued suspicion after the conflict, but he did not close the door on future negotiations. The Iranian president argued that the current moment still offered the best opportunity for a deal, despite the deep mistrust between Tehran and Washington. These comments come as Pakistan's role between Washington and Tehran has become far more complicated. Pakistan had earlier helped broker the April ceasefire and hosted direct US-Iran talks in Islamabad, the highest-level face-to-face engagement between the two sides since 1979. However, Pakistan has now joined Saudi Arabia and Turkey in the Mecca Joint Defense Pact, a move that has triggered unease among Iranian hardliners despite Islamabad's mediation role. The agreement treats an armed attack on any one of its three members as an attack on all, creating a collective defense commitment just as regional tensions remain high. Turkey, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan signed a mutual defense agreement in Mecca on August 7, bringing their leaders together amid heightened regional turmoil and security concerns across the Gulf. The pact unites three major Sunni Muslim powers that each retain important, though very different, relationships with the United States, combining Saudi financial influence, Turkish military-industrial capacity, and Pakistan's armed forces. Notably, none of the three states maintains full diplomatic relations with Israel, creating a rare security grouping of US-linked powers that remains politically separate from Washington's closest Middle Eastern partner. Turkey, Pakistan and Saudi Arabia signed the deal amid a widening Gulf crisis, with regional states facing attacks, threats and growing uncertainty following the confrontation between Iran, the United States and Israel. Turkey brings NATO's second-largest military by personnel. Saudi Arabia contributes immense Gulf influence and defense spending, while Pakistan adds a battle-tested military and the only nuclear arsenal in the Muslim world. Riyadh has been seeking to deepen security cooperation with key partners as it looks for stronger deterrence and more reliable regional arrangements beyond traditional dependence on Washington. At the same time, Saudi Arabia has raised alarm over growing regional threats from Iran-aligned groups, particularly as maritime, missile and drone risks have increased across the Gulf and Red Sea. However, the full text and operational details of the agreement were not immediately released, leaving open major questions about joint command, deployment obligations, intelligence sharing and the exact meaning of mutual defense. Saudi Arabia and Pakistan already signed a mutual defense pact in September 2025, stating that aggression against one country would be treated as an attack against both, making Turkey's inclusion a potentially major expansion.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a banking dynasty meets tides of world history, intrigue, and a dash of myth?
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.